Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby-League, a show where two Rugby League tragics talk everything Rugby League on your way to and from work. I'm Shano.
And I'm the Chameleon.
Welcome aboard, and on with the show. Chameleon, as always, great to have you on board, and listeners, thank you for joining us this week in what was a very interesting week of Rugby League. I don't know about you tipsters, but probably not one of the better weeks I've had tipping. That's okay. That's why it's tipping and not investing. But let's go through some of the games. The Knights. They beat the Cow. What am I doing here? That was round one. Gee whiz. The Knights and the Cowboys. We'll start that again, people.
I think they're happy to beat them again.
I think they were happy to beat them again somehow too. By the way.
Yeah.
Because I had this one in the trigger in the pocket. The Sea Eagles went down to the Roosters 33 points to 16, which saw Seibold's demise. We might have a quick chat about that in a minute. Warriors upset by the West Tigers 32-14 in New Zealand. A big win for the West Tigers there. Broncos got off the score sheet. They got 26-12 over the Dolphins. Bulldogs were outclassed effectively by the Knights 16 points to 24. Penrith are just the juggernaut, 48 points to 20. They'd be pretty frustrated with, I reckon, about 12 points of that 20. I reckon they would be training extra hard this week. Cowboys 28 beat the Storm 24. I did enjoy watching that. 22-34 the Sharks over the Raiders. Raiders really not throwing a lot when they had a lot of field position too. And the Titans 22 beat the Dragons 14, and the Dragons really did look lost throughout that game. Which brings me to the draw. Which brings me to the later. Sorry, I'm having a shocker already. The Panthers are on top, undefeated 8 points. Out in their own. 140 points for, 30 points against. They have the best attacking and defensive record in Rugby League so far. Warriors are second, West Tigers third. Buy your grand final tickets now, people. The Knights are fourth, Rabbitohs fifth, Bulldogs sixth, Storm seventh, and Dolphins round out the eight. On equal points, you've got the Sharks, Broncos, Cowboys, Roosters, Eels. Seagulls on 2 points, incidentally with no wins. Raiders down at 15th, Titans at 16th. And the other team with no wins at the moment is the Dragons. They're last, and yeah, they look a long way from winning a game at this point in time. Griff, I'd be remiss of me not to ask, what was your grab for the week?
Thank you, Shana. A lot of last week's games I actually only saw as minis for a variety of reasons.
It's because some of them were crap, but anyway.
Oh, well.
no, I'm only joking.
From what I've heard, it was a good thing that
in some of them, I did not take that option, and in some of the games, although in saying that, there were some upsets, but there was some exciting football.
Oh, there's some good football played. Yeah. It's just that there's a limited amount of teams that actually played it.
Yeah. Yes.
But getting back to the grab.
Very well. Now,
the grab, no, it's all good. Actually came from the game that I only watched as a mini. And that is, and I'm going to call him a Carpool Rugby League favourite now.
Ooh, yep.
And that is our friend from the Gold Coast Titans, Arama Howe, whatever it is. I was so excited that he actually got not just one try, but two.
Yes.
Because he really had all sorts of trouble being able to actually score a 4-pointer.
He would be one of the if we were playing NFL, he'd be at the top of the score sheet because you don't have to put the ball down. You only have to break the plane. He's broken the plane plenty of times.
Yeah,
with
he broke the line as well, so he's breaking a lot of things. But I'd never heard of him before this year. in those games earlier in the year where he couldn't score, some of them all he had to do was basically put his hand on the ball. But he was putting himself in good positions, even though he couldn't get the 4-pointer. But the other night against the Dragons, he broke the line twice, scored long-range tries, which is what you want from your back rower. I didn't realise also he's only 21, apparently. He looks a little bit older than that. But
he looks a bit of a beast, doesn't he?
He certainly got that quality, and I'm happy for the Titans to get their first win, even though I didn't tip them.
I'll throw a couple of stats at you. 11 runs, 166 meters, 33 post contact meters, 2 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks. He had 11 hit ups. He was all over it. That was in conjunction with 33 tackles. Now we know in the Titans, Big Tino would be the litmus test. He outdid Tino in every one of those statistics. So that's a good.
That's good.
That's a good game, except for hit ups. I think all runs. Tino had 2 more, but he's ticking the boxes. If you're giving Tino a run for his money, you're ticking boxes.
Well, what they lack is depth. That team, and they've got some X factor players which their opposition don't have, and I just couldn't tip them because I tipped them the week before and they lost us. Yeah. But and I did say that it wouldn't surprise me because they're playing the Dragons. The Dragons don't know how to win.
No, they're in trouble.
Titans, good on them. They got their first breakthrough win. I don't think they're going to win too many games.
No, just on that, you mentioned they've got some. They do have some really good players. A guy when I was watching the game, Philip Sammy, he really stood out for me. 237 meters he ran for 56 post contact meters. You got to start now, and I know Keeney is their fullback, but you've got to start asking yourself, at what point do you need to get this guy's hands on the ball so much more often? Like, he had 18 touches, which is good. But I remember while I was watching the game, I thought this guy just seems to make meters at will, and he hits. He made he made a few dummy half meters. He was passing the ball. He was doing everything he needed to do. I just thought in attack, that's any player that cracks 200. He can get over 50 in post contact. That's a big game.
The guy has played State of Origin.
Yeah, 100%.
For mine, he's always been a bit of a rocks or diamonds sort of a guy. But
the
interesting thing is, Shane, that he has signed with the Dragons on a 3-year contract starting next year. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not. But so he's actually going to be playing with the Dragons next year. And I don't know if that's a great sign or not for the Dragons.
But likewise, Philip Sammy, if he was to go to a club that could nurture his talent.
But is that the club?
That's not the club. That's what you're trying to say. That's not the club you want to go to. That's not the club.
The problem is not what's happening on their wing. Their problem is a lack of skill around the key positions. They don't know how to win. They don't know how to find a try when they really need one. And even the pressure. If we're both going to talk about Seibold at some stage, but
most definitely.
But now that he's gone, I think the pressure, and I think Shane Flanagan's been able to go a little bit under the radar in terms of not getting the heat that a lot of other guys whose teams are going a little bit better have been copping. Now, awful what happened to his son.
Yes.
You're a father first, you're a coach second. So that would have been really. I do really sympathise with him last week, and I guess people were not going to come heavy given those circumstances, and nor should they. But this is a team. There's only 2 teams who haven't won a game yet. The other team that haven't won a game sacked their coach. And to be fair, you don't know when the Dragons are going to win. And they came into this year with a very favourable early season draw against teams that they were, in most cases, were expected they could challenge. Probably not the Storm, but the other teams were winnable games. Gold Coast Titans, they're not challenging for the top spot. They've been beaten by the Eels. Yes, the Bulldogs, we do expect them to go okay, but they're, we'll talk about them later. I don't think they're going that well either. But
no.
So it hasn't been the toughest of draws, and they haven't got a win.
I want to bring up something with the Dragons that I saw the other day, and I've done a bit of digging around. They've got one of the laziest forward packs in the competition, bar one player, and that's Luciano Leilua. Last week, right, Leilua ran for 21 runs, 199 metres, 77 post-contact metres, right? In the forward pack, you had Gula ran for 10 runs, Cook 11. They didn't crack 100, by the way. Blake Lowry...
Cook's a dummy after.
He's
not expected to run that much.
Blake Lowry ran for 12 runs, 118. Jaden Stewart did 16 runs, 126. Hamish Stewart did 18, 136, cracking only about 28. You got Jaden Stewart and Luciano Leilua, and no disrespect, they're at the end of their career. Like they're like, they're not exactly spring chickens. They're the hardest working forwards in the whole of St. George. And I just think to myself, that's half the problem when you've got really these guys, like when you've got a guy like Leilua making 21 metres, almost cracking 277 post contact. Is it, do we have to, is that the conversation? And I know with South Sydney, one of the big conversations they used to have Damien Cook is start searching for other players. And, he goes, I'll pass to whoever's there. I genuinely think that this is overall 1 to how many players there are, 19. They're a lazy rugby league team. And finally they gave Tyrell Sloan a crack and he scored a try. But
yeah, I think he let a few in as well.
He let a few in.
He's not selected this week. He's been dumped after a week.
Tyrell Sloan had the Dragons' only line break. One line break that the team could generate. And he, just go, you can't win games like that. When you've got some of your older players, and I know people go, oh yeah, last week you talked about Penrith. Penrith are a different beast. I'm not even putting them in the same category as this. When you're looking at some of your older players rolling the sleeves up, doing the hard yards, then you've got Tyrell Sloan, who's in and out of favour, making one tackle. I just think that it's. I think they're a really lazy rugby league club, and it's showing in all their statistics. Like they 31 missed tackles last week, 20 ineffective tackles last week. They 5-2 ruck infringements, 3-1 inside the 10. They used more interchanges, they in every negative stat they were on top. Or they were worse than the Titans except for errors. Now the Titans are error riddled. I don't see much. I don't see much hope for the Dragons. Actually, I don't know about the lazy. I've not looked into the stats. Every game I've seen,
I just think they lack skill. I think they really lack skill. But I think they put the effort in, but they just haven't got it. They don't have the players to create opportunities. And
Griff,
Flanagan's been there for a few years now. I really think unless they change the way they play, then he's really got to come under scrutiny.
Oh,
Because
100%. It's got to be soon. Because really,
yeah, they've got to start winning some games.
In my opinion, this rugby league team, if you watch them play, you hit the nail on the head. They don't have a lot of skill, and they don't have a lot of arrows to fire. When you're attacking, fifth tackle, 40 out, and you can't, like, that's like you got to get up into the red zone. You got to get into the red zone to make things happen, force errors, dropouts. They can't get into an opposition red zone. They try a passing move and they knock it on. Like, it's just, I don't know. They're struggling. But Anthony Seibold sacked.
Okay, now you
surprised?
Over the course of a long time have not been a Seibold fan.
No.
I don't know. There are too many Seibold fans to be fair.
There is. There's one, and it's him.
What, his manager?
Him. I don't know if his manager's even a fan. He is his number one fan. Like, Seibold fan club is number one.
I would agree with that early on. I think he's reined that in. I mean, he used to talk himself up. You don't hear him do that anymore. But
he wouldn't talk about the team, but spoke about his 17 kilos he's lost.
Yeah, look, the proof, he's got a coaching record now, and it's not a good record. He's been at 3 clubs. There's not been a great deal of success.
No.
I was really surprised. I think he came in after he might have been working as an assistant with Rugby or Eddie Jones.
I was surprised.
But then he got a gig maybe as an assistant at the Knights, maybe. And then the next thing you know, he's got a top coach job at Manly. I couldn't understand it.
Well, if you go back, listeners, through our Carpool Rugby League about the time it got signed, I was flabbergasted. I'm just like, what are they doing? Like, seriously, like, anyway, like, this is my sort of 30-second hit on Seibold, right? He came
maybe
in,
the last time you'll need
maybe. He came in, he got given the South Sydney side, and to be fair, and I'll say this without grinding 5 mil off my teeth, to be fair, he turned South Sydney's attack into a very deep, sweeping, attacking team, which helped Alex Johnson, which helped a lot of our players on the 3-quarter line, knowing he had Adam Reynolds that could turn 4 into 6 quite easily. That year, and going into that year, South Sydney were one of the premiership favourites. He then neglected the team to go and start negotiating with Brisbane. Quite evident, a lot of people would put on forums that Seibold wasn't at training today. Seibold missing. Later found out that he was in Queensland trying to key up a deal to go coach Brisbane. Found out that he had gotten a job at Brisbane on the back of South Sydney. Now, South Sydney were a very good team that year, by the way, too. Had he just stuck and done his job at South, and I'm not saying this lightly, that guy probably could have been a premiership winning coach. He thought of himself. He went to Brisbane. It was very evident that at Brisbane, he it's all about him and his way. That failed miserably. He then went to Manly, where it became a bit of the same. And I think the problem is that whole, we've got certain coaches in the NRL that probably know rugby league well but aren't very good people managers, and people who aren't very good coaches but are good people managers. I think Seibold's just done his time. I really think that his integrity, and as a South fan, I'm happy to say it, I think his integrity was tested at the Bunnies. Had he stuck with South, waited to the off season to do all this, fine. It's the problem is when openly you go to a training session and he's not there, and then all of a sudden on NRL 360, Seibold's having lunch with Brisbane executives in Brisbane. Well, you're an idiot because you probably could have won a premiership. And it's clearly evident the way you think, and the way you're thinking isn't great because, yet again, I've been from a team. This was a very, very quick sacking. I got a gut feeling there's a bit more to this than meets the eye. I don't think I know they've been playing poorly and they weren't that great. To bin the coach now, I applaud Manly. Like, Manly have obviously said we need to make a decision and we have to make it quickly. I got a gut feeling.
Well, they're ripping the band-aid off.
That's right. And I got a gut feeling that there might have been some longer underlying issues that maybe we don't know about that would have attributed to it, because, like, give him to round 6, round 8. To do it now, I think the writing was on the wall from the day one, and he couldn't get over the line. And look, I don't wish any ill on anybody, but your integrity, integrity speaks a lot, and it just seems to be wherever you go, not great things follow. So I think Anthony Seibold might be like the Jason Taylors of the world. They're great assistant coaches. They just can't cut it in the top end. That could be them. I don't know. I think that. Yeah, I think that. I didn't see anything exciting in Manly. Like when you look at Manly play, and over the past 12 months, in talking to Manly fans, it's been fairly pedestrian football in the hope that Cherry Evans and Turbo do something. There's no Cherry Evans anymore, so it's now up to Turbo. I think they're in for a few lean years. Really, they got to build. Yeah, when you look at what other clubs are building and what they're not, it's one thing to say, what are they doing? The big problem is other clubs are building when they're not. So when a club builds and you don't, they're going to leapfrog you. And, the teams like the Tigers are going to leapfrog them. I wonder if the Knights will leapfrog them. I wish Kieran Foran all the best. I like Kieran Foran. I think I really like the cut of his jib.
Well, he's universally respected.
I love him, and I think as a player and a person, I think he's the tonic those players need. What he does with them as a football side, I think might be a bit here or there. I think it's more about what he can do to build community in that club. And when you read a lot of the Manly forums and you read into talking to a lot of people, that Manly community isn't quite there anymore. So good luck to him. Love him or hate him.
Well, good luck to Kieran Foran.
Yeah.
I have no allegiance to Manly at all.
Quite the opposite.
Well, no, I don't.
It's their 80th year.
Manly in 2026 is very, very different to Manly of the 1970s and 80s, where they were the rich club.
They're not the silver
went out
anymore.
And bought players from other clubs in a time when there wasn't the sort of movement between clubs like there is now. There were different rules back then as well. You had a restriction on the number of imports, and when I say imports, that means players who were not part of come through your juniors. So, back in the day in big league, and I don't know if Shane, you'd remember this or not, because I'm not sure how long they did it till, but there used to be an asterisk next to the player's name if they were an imported player.
Yes, I remember that.
And that means that they did not come through the juniors of that club. Now,
that's right.
So you're restricted to 13 imports. Sorry, yeah, you could have more than 13. In saying that, generally you had like I won't call them a sister club, but so for example, Penrith could get Parramatta juniors and vice versa, and they weren't included as imports. But
that's right.
But Manly would go out and buy premium talent because they had more money. Initially, it was the Rabbitohs that they ravaged with guys like Ray Brannigan, John O'Neill, and then they did it to the West Magpies later in the 70s with John Doherty, Les Boyd, Ray Brown. And so they were the despised team. And for a lot of people who grew up in that era, still hate Manly. Now, I don't hate that. They're just a club doing their best. They are one of the paupers of the competition now.
That's a very good way of putting it, actually.
Yeah. So they're the strugglers off the field. We've got a salary cap where theoretically everyone can spend the same amount, but other clubs are spending. They've got money to maybe spend more on other aspects to make the players they've got the best they can be. And Manly's a little bit restricted money-wise compared to some other clubs. It's just, I don't see, Kieran Foran is on a hiding to nothing really. But in saying that, I don't think a whole lot's expected now with the start they've had.
No.
But I sort of feel for him. Like, they asked him because they have faith in him. Jason King and Mr. Penn, not Sean Penn, Scott Penn. But they got on the phone to him and said, "Look, we are you interested in being the interim coach?" And I've heard excerpts from interviews he did. He said, "Look, if you think I can do it, then I'll do it. I'm not going to walk away from it." He's never walked away from a challenge.
Yeah.
He is loved by all, whether you're Manly or not. He's respected, and that's obviously to his advantage. But he was running around with the Gold Coast Titans on the field about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Now so he hasn't got the background in coaching, and I'm not going to say that he doesn't know a hell of a lot about rugby league, but it's different to have the knowledge to be to actually be the head coach. Like, they talk about, who's the sort of next one up on the ranks of assistant coaches, and out of the blue, Kieran Foran is the interim coach. Now, at what point Manly say, right, will you sign, and I'm not talking necessarily about Foran, but to anyone, say, we want you to be our coach in 2027. And I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, because let's say he does do a great job, and they've already given the job to, say, a Matt Ballin or a Michael Ennis or Brad Arthur. There's one or two other candidates, but they're the main names that are being raised.
Yep.
And Foran's going to think, well, I can do this job.
Yes.
Obviously they'll have him as an assistant, but I don't know. I sort of agree that it was probably in the club's best interest to let Seibold go early rather than later.
Yeah.
But I don't think the team's going that well, and I don't know if it's just a coaching issue. They got some good players, some really good players actually.
Yeah.
But they got problems in the forwards. They've got speed out wide, and we did see them score that very, very good try on the second play of the game when they shifted.
Yep.
They can score the long-range tries. They just, well, they haven't won a game yet, and they come up against the Dolphins this week. We'll talk about that later, but I wish Kieran Foran well.
Yep.
It's important that that the players step up, and I think they will, because he is so wide. A lot of these guys he played with at Manly not all that long ago, maybe 3 years ago. I think he was there 2 or 3 years before he went to the Titans. And I think maybe just that little, do we do our best for the coach? If it's Anthony Seibold, maybe not. If it's Kieran Foran, I think players are going to think we've got to do this for Foz.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, it's going to be a good thing. But yeah, I can't see them doing much at all this year.
Yeah, no. Well, you alluded to it. Do you want to, Griffo, any closing remarks before we go on to the games of the week?
I think we get into it.
Why not? And it is the Easter weekend, so that means we got from Thursday to Monday.
How good's that?
That's great.
How good
I
is
cannot
that?
wait to sit my backside. I bought a bean bag today.
Wow.
I got this front room. I got sorted. I got this bloody projector, and I just got my bean bag, and I'm ready.
It's like the captain. Does the captain still got his projector?
He does.
He's got a whole
Yeah,
room.
he's got his projector. I got mine. His is a bit more fancy than mine. I got mine from Kogan. It's a bit cheap, but it does the job.
That's all you need.
Does the job. On Thursday at 8 o'clock at KO Stadium in Redcliffe. Good on you, Dolphins. You're in Redcliffe. It sees the Redcliffe Dolphins up against the Manly Warringah Seagulls. Just talking about them. This is at 8 o'clock, of course. It's going to be a good game tomorrow. The Hammer in at fullback up against John Trbojevic. Jermaine Asako. Signings, rumours and whatnot around him. So
with Perth or?
Well, I heard the Storm.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, it is April Fool's Day, so I don't
They're losing some wingers.
I don't take anything. I don't take anything for granted.
Anything reported today?
What's that?
Nothing reported today is taken as serious.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
But a shout out to the lady who gave birth to me. It's her birthday today.
Oh, okay. Yes. Massive.
April Fool's Day.
Well, you never forget it. How about that? There it is. It was 3 days.
I actually don't remember it. Thank God, I don't remember it.
You don't remember it.
But I'm told.
Here we go. I've just been on the Storm website. This was printed the Sunday, 29th of March. Melbourne Storm today has announced the signing of Dolphins outside back goal kicker Jermaine Asako on a 2-year deal for the 27 and 28 seasons.
And you're not buying it?
It must be right, because this is on the 29th of March. So he's going.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's going to the Melbourne Storm.
Well, they've lost Warbrick.
That's a big
and
loss
they've lost
for the
Nick
Dolphins.
Meaney as well.
Anyway,
So they're missing some outside backs.
So
they wanted Lomax, they didn't get him.
That's going to
be. So that's understandable, because he's a goal kicker as well. He's a very good goal kicker.
Good signing.
Yeah.
Everything else look to be fair. Everything else for the Dolphins looks 1 to 18. That's fine. 1 to 19. That's fine. For the Manly Warringah Seagulls, we have no Saab. Saab is out.
Saab has been garaged for the week for being a bad boy.
Yes. Well, yes. So we have Seagulls more or less the same. Look, when I look at these two sides, the Dolphins are starting to sort of grow into the season a little bit. Hammer's finding a bit more space. Herbie Farnworth has been outstanding. Like, he is really doing some fantastic stuff. Love to see Cody Nicarima give more early ball to Averillo and Farnworth. I think there'd be far more. There's far more to be had there. Katoa as the captain, he's really moving the side around. Gilbert Plath, Kafusi. Look, the Dolphins are winning this game, and I think they're probably going to win it well at Redcliffe. They've got the guns to fire. Seagulls, look, Tom Dvojevic and captain, very good. Brooks and Fogarty, they have not been the combination that have really. Oh, I'm not going to say gelled, but they just haven't. They just haven't done it at the moment, and that doesn't mean they're not going to. But yeah, it's a tough ask for the Seagulls. I just can't see anything in them pushing the Dolphins. When a coaching change happens, you usually bet on the team that's got the coaching change because that helps. But with this one, I've got the Dolphins winning. Well, Griff, who have you got?
Yeah, I'm tipping the Dolphins. By the way, guys, if you are that keen on my tips, just tip the other team because I think
last week.
I think I got 2.
Last week I got 3.
All right. Well, you better.
So we're in good company, Griff.
Yeah. I just think that the Dolphins have got a better side from 1 to 17.
Yeah.
Manly, their forwards, they're not overly effective. Obviously, Hamoli he's a wrecking ball, but he's maybe not as consistent as you'd like him to be. Jake Trbojevic, I don't want to be critical. He's had a great career, but
he's had a very good career, but
his best days are long past.
And that's not being critical. I think that's fair.
I don't understand the Wakeham at hooker. Joey Walsh, I've not seen him too much. He did make his debut last year off the bench late in the year. He's a prodigy. Apparently, he's come through the rugby union ranks through, I think it's St. Augustine's College at not far from Brookvale Oval, actually. And he is the guy that people on the northern beaches want to see in this team. I hope he makes his way onto the bench. I think Simpkin to start at hooker and Joey Walsh to come maybe into this team, even off the bench. Maybe put Brooks in as a backup hooker, but it's not working for them. Yes, they're scoring some good tries, but the opposition are outpointing them every week. And the Roosters last week got the job done, so the pressure valve was released from them. It went right on to Manly, and Manly said, right, we're getting rid of the coach. For mine, too many guns firing out of Redcliffe. I'm going to tip them.
Yep, that's a fair call. Look, 4:05 on Good Friday, we have the South Sydney Rabbitohs at Acor Stadium taking on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Big in for South Sydney on the wing. Campbell Graham is back. For the Bulldogs, Fletcher Baker and Josh Curran are out. Bronson Sherry, he comes into the interchange lineup. Not too sure how long that will last. There is a bit of a shuffle, but in the grand scheme of things, we have, I'll just do Connor Tracy, Jacob Kiros, Tuala, Crichton, Montoya, Burton, Galvin. So Burton's still in that number 6 role. Everything more or less from that is stock standard for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. It's funny, like, you don't want to call this. I understand this is South Dogs. Both teams have shown some flashes of brilliance, but also shown some extreme weakness. It's hard to, you don't want to use the word blockbuster, but Good Friday, always brings out something in this game. There's always something that happens, something goes on. It's built for people like Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, who, to be fair, I thought Mitchell and Walker were pretty poor last week. Whilst the week before, whilst they had the win, Latrell forced about 3 passes, and Cody Walker gave a crucial 6 again, which led to a lot of heat on the line. It's the battle of the forward pack for me when looking at this game. Totola versus King, Kolomatangi, Hughes, Fafita, Kikau, Tallis Duncan.
Just before you go on, mate, I just want to pull you up here. Not pull you up, but that's a mismatch.
Oh, the
King and Hughes up against Totola and Kolomatangi.
It is, yeah. I'm trying to be nice.
Keep going, mate.
I'm trying to be nice. As a red and green fan, I'm going. I hope they smash the daylights out of them.
I'm back into Tola and Kolomatangi.
And Cameron versus Salmon. This is where I think the game is won, Griff. I think South Sydney's forward pack are just going to roll over the Dogs. And, we're not into betting South Sydney the favourites, and I think this is why. When you look at their forward pack, it is just absolutely lit up with players who can, Totola, Kolomatangi, Fafita, like any of those can make 200 metres on their day. And really, this is the problem with the Dogs. They've shown they can't. Matt Burton, massive questions around him being at number 6. If he doesn't have a good showing this week, I reckon it could be curtains for him at number 6, and they might be looking to see what they can do from there. And Tuala might be finding that he shifts out. Burton goes to the centres, because really Lockie Galvin he's not taken the game to the level he should under this club. Of course, I got South Sydney winning, Griffo. I think I genuinely think that this team, looking at it on paper, and no games are won on paper, but 1 to 13, South Sydney definitely have the forward pack to do it. When you go down to the interchange, Kurt Mann on the interchange, I think that's I
really the only area, Shane, where the Bulldogs
I agree.
Better is the bench.
I think their bench is better, but I really think that by the time the bench take any type of effect, if South Sydney can get some of the junk out of their game that they had against the Tigers, they could be up. And Jai Gray, I don't know what he's got, but you'd bottle it. And Connor Tracy, it's going to be a good matchup with some of these players, but I've got South Sydney winning this one, Griffo, not just because you know why, but I genuinely think that South Sydney will win this match.
Yeah, I agree with you. On paper, the South team looks a lot stronger to me. I've not been a rap on the Bulldogs. I've made that point quite clear that I just don't think they have a lot of really good players. They've got a few.
Yep.
But I think to lose the game, and I only saw the mini of this because I was on my way to the Panthers game last week when the Bulldogs were playing the Knights. But to go down to the Knights, who were missing Ponga, Brown, and Trey Mooney, I don't think that's real good form. They only just got over the Dragons in round 1. I did think they were good against the Raiders, but I just don't rate them. I still think they'll probably make the 8, but I just can't see them doing anything against, consistently against quality teams. I've got South, and I do expect they're going to win reasonably well. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm going with.
Big game for South because they, Bennett not happy from their last outing.
That's good.
Had a week off, so it's yeah. Look, this is a game. Look, if I wasn't looking forward to the first game, which I am, you got South Sydney versus the Dogs, rolls into Panthers versus the Storm. At CommBank Stadium in Sydney, 8 o'clock on Good Friday, you have the Penrith Panthers versus the Melbourne Storm. Mitch Kenny out, Kamakamika and Leo out for the Storm. If with Mitch Kenny out, that would bring in
Freddie Lussick.
Yep. So Freddie Lussick is into the side, and then people on the extended bench. Nick Meaney, he comes in for the Melbourne Storm on what is, I'm just trying to see if he's.
It's in the centres.
He's in the centres. Sorry, I just went straight past Nick Meaney. He's in the centres. Very good. Thank you, Griffo. Big game. The Panthers are outstanding at this point in time. The Panthers' value have come from the people that have done it week in, week out, year in, year out. People like Dylan Edwards, Brian Tottle, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, Liam Martin. These are the people that have done it for years for this club. You then blend in people like Thomas Jenkins, who, if you read his story, it's just amazing. Like, he just worked his ass off, and that's where he's at. Casey McLean, I've got, I love that kid. I love the way he plays rugby league. I cannot speak highly enough. Blaze Talangi has slipped into the 5/8 role like there's no tomorrow. You have Lindsay Smith doing great things, Isaiah Papali'i, and then their bench. I just look at Penrith and I go, I just can't see the chink in the armour. The Storm last week really... You saw Harry Grant get frustrated, Jerome Hughes get frustrated, Cameron Munster zig when he should zag. I've been guilty of saying the Storm have lost their venom for years, and they don't. And they make it to the grand final. I look like an idiot. I really think in this game, the Penrith Panthers will do a number on them. I think the Penrith Panthers will win, and they should. And I'm not saying they should win, Will. That's not fair. I just think the way they're playing, and when I look at the Storm and what they've done the last few weeks, I think the Storm is still trying to find the football team that they are, and Bellamy will do it. Like, come the end of the year, they'll peak. Like, it's it's not September yet. They just haven't found the football team they are yet. And for a team like Penrith, that's just it's just sugar to the bee. It's moth to the flame stuff. It's just, like Penrith will sniff that out in a heartbeat. Penrith for me, Griff, they're your team. You give us the synopsis.
Yeah, I was there last week for their return to CommBank, and they were very good, particularly in the first half. They led 30 points to 4 at halftime, and as I expected, and a lot of my predictions last week were wrong, but in this game, I said that I think they beat Para, but there'd be a lot of tries, and Para would score. And that's sort of how it panned out. Para were actually, particularly in the second half, that they had a lot of ball, but they scored 4 tries against the Panthers. And Para's a good attacking team, but they really struggle in defence, and Penrith pulled them apart several times. Penrith are playing a different brand of rugby league this year. Much more focus on ball movement, early ball movement from their own half. And the defence obviously has been outstanding. last week, not outstanding, but they're playing probably as good now as at any stage in their sort of in the 2020s, which they've dominated, because their attack is very sharp. And you mentioned earlier they're a top attacking team as well as the top defensive team. So they're going to test the Storm. The Storm, still plenty of stars. They're certainly below their best in terms of depth and players that are out, particularly forwards. The Storm beat Penrith twice last year. They didn't play in the semis. For the few years before that, the Panthers had the wood over Melbourne, but last year Melbourne beat them twice. Early season down in Melbourne, Panthers were missing some players. Cleary got injured in the game, and the young guys put up a good fight, but couldn't win the game. And then the game at CommBank was an absolute thriller, where we saw all sorts of controversy, with Moses Leota being penalised when Cleary slotted a field goal that would have won the game. And then we saw Harry Grant outsmart the Panthers' defence and ran the ball from dummy half to win the game in extra time, which broke the Penrith Hearts. But so they're going to remember that, they haven't beaten the Storm for a couple of years. So there's plenty of incentive there. I think they win the game, but I do expect a pretty close game. And I do expect guys like Munster to cause some problems. Farlongo is an absolute genius at the back. Jerome Hughes in the top three halves in the comp. Harry Grant, out and out the best hooker and arguably the best player in the NRL. So there's plenty of talent in this team still, but I am going to stick with the home team.
Smart man. So that's Friday now. On Saturday, it's 5:30 p.m. at Jubilee Stadium in Cogra. We see the St George Illawarra Dragons taking on the North Queensland Cowboys. Buchanan and Flanagan out for the Dragons. Sutton out for the Cowboys. Look, which sees a really new halves combination. King Togia in for the Dragons with Daniel
King
Atkins.
is back.
Yeah, King is back.
Long live the King.
Yep, King is back, which means you've got a spine of Gutherson, King Togia, Atkinson, Cook, and then Hamish Stewart is locking the scrum. This is a really interesting game because I think that the Dragons are at the point where they actually needed some sort of stability. Now, of course, the sickening injury meant that that's not going to happen. Leilua and Sua in the second rows, they're the workhorses of this team. It's going to take a lot for the Cowboys forwards. I really think if the Cowboys forwards get up and over the top, then they win and they win easily. Where the Dragons might actually find some value here is that if they can get their forward pack working well, because the Cowboys forward pack is not doing much at the moment, they may actually win that yardage game. The biggest problem is, and you said it earlier, Griffith, I have no faith in any of these players to be able to finish off the game. I think I got the Cowboys by the fact that I think the Cowboys can finish a game and the Dragons can't. I got the Cowboys winning this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cowboys. I won't say they've turned it around, but a win over the Melbourne Storm is a big win when it's unexpected. And
yeah.
For the last 2 weeks, they've been winners. It's taken the pressure off Coach Payton. For the Dragons, this is a winnable game. the Cowboys not a consistent team, but they've got talent there. The likes of Drinkwater, Tommy Dearden, the Bloom going well. I think Marnie's made a difference to this team. I've got to tip the Cowboys. I just can't tip the Dragons. If you can't beat the Gold Coast Titans, then who can you beat? I don't have a lot of faith in the Cowboys yet. I don't until I can see consistency. But they're the sort of team that may never be consistent. But they've got the talent there, and I just think they've got enough talent to get over the top of the Dragons, who don't know how to win.
Agreed. That's they're struggling. At 7:35, we got somewhat of a derby at Seibold Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. We got the Gold Coast Titans taking on the Brisbane Broncos. When we look at the two teams, Anderson and Karapani are out for the Broncos, but however, Payne Haas is in. Jesse Arthur's also in, and for the Titans, it's pretty much business as usual, with some extended ins on there. Look, this is a game where the Broncos play themselves into form from mine. Reece Walsh doing what Reece Walsh should do. The Tony Staggs has been good of late. Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds really controlling things. Jesse Arthur's on the wing should help as well. Payne Haas back in this side will help Piakura and Ricky with Carrigan. Carrigan, for me, really needs to be the guy. I'd like to see a performance where Carrigan man the match performance. Like he's been there or thereabouts, struggling of late, and I just think if he can have a man the match performance, that's going to help the Broncos faithful. For the Titans, I just don't see any silver lining in this game for them to be able to get anywhere. Look, Lachlan Ilias and Jaden Campbell, they're going to have to ignite something. It's going to be up to people like Big Tino and Haas, Khalees Haas, that is, to do some stuff. Who knows? Arama might score another double. I got Brisbane winning this one, and probably, to be fair, winning fairly easily.
Hard to argue. Titans, they've got some bullets to fire. Well, whether they can stop the Broncos is my main concern. And I don't know that they can. Reece Walsh, Staggs, Haas of the Payne variety, or the Hakeem. Carrigan. I think their better players are better than the players that the Titans have got. They got. If I was to pull out the 5 best Titans players, they're pretty handy. Kinney, Brimson, Jaden Campbell, Big Tino, Bill Fermor. There's quality there, but I just don't think they're going to be able to hold the Broncos to a low score. And I do think Broncos win this one. If they were playing, maybe about 4 weeks ago, might have been a slightly different story. But the Broncos have found form, and I can't see the Broncos looking back too much now. I think they're going to be a big threat in this competition, and I think they've got too many guns for the Titans.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Easy one there. On the surface, easy. To round out Sunday, 5th of April, Easter Sunday at 2 o'clock, we see the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks taking on the New Zealand Warriors. I think this is going to be a belter of a match. Ocean Protect Stadium in Sydney. Love that name.
I don't.
It's hilarious, isn't it? But it's not even in the ocean. It's on land. Britton Nakora in. Hiroti on extended bench. Look, for the Mitch Barnett is out for the Warriors. This is a big game, and this is where the Sharks at home need to start building a fortress. They're a yo-yo at the moment. They're that up and down. The Warriors, you thought you could set your watch by them last week, and then they get you. And they play like they did last week, and they lose. This is a game built for Nico Hines. If Nico Hines wants to be one of those players that takes the bull by the horns, he's going to have to do it this week with Braden Trindle. He's going to have those two are just going to have to do do the creative flair that it takes. Look, their forward pack have been solid. It's the 3 quarters where they struggle in defence. They just don't seem to, like Billy Burns and Tig Wilton, just seems to be out of sync. Haystacks was good last week, scoring a try and doing what he needs to do. I've got the Sharks winning this one. I think the Warriors coming out of New Zealand and last week, this is a big game for the Warriors, and I just think we might be seeing some of their limitations. The Sharks should win at home. I'm tipping them with no confidence, but they're at home.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, if you look at last week's performance, it's an easy Sharks victory, you would think, but I'm not so sure about that.
I don't think it's easy.
I was just saying that they played really well to go down to the Canberra and take the points. They were very good last week, the Sharks, but they were rubbish the week.
They were
before.
They're rocks. They're rocks and diamonds at the moment.
Yeah, and the Warriors, you mentioned the consistency, but then it all went out the window. No one thought they were going to lose to the West Tigers.
Not last week.
No, and they led 10-0, and
they had the game in control.
Yeah, but it didn't turn out that way. They're going to want to turn it around. I know I tipped the Warriors when I did my tips. Yeah, I'm not going to change it, but just looking at the teams, I think the Sharks, they look all right. Like Trindle, he's really only had the one off game this year. He's been really good for him. He didn't do much against Panthers, but he's not Robinson Crusoe there. It was the first game back for Luke Metcalf last week, and we're all expecting they'd go even better, but yeah, I don't know why. I'm going to stick with the Warriors because when I did my tips, I tipped them. I think they, if they've only got to return to what they were doing the week before last, they've been great for the first 3 rounds.
Yep.
Yes, they lose Barnett, but he wasn't there for the first few weeks, and they seem to manage okay. The forward depth is not an issue for them, so I'm going to stick with them. I'm not convinced about the Sharks in terms of up 1 week, down the next type thing. They're perfectly capable of winning this game, and it's an important game for them because they won't want to go 2-3. They at the moment 2-2. I know it's early days, but these are the sort of games you want to bank 2 points. But this probably shapes up as one of the best games of the round, actually, along with the we've got the South Bulldogs and the Panthers taking on the Storm.
There is another game on Monday which I'm looking forward to. I don't know if
we'll get to that. Very different game.
Different game. Don't know if it'll live up to the hype, but we'll give it a chance. But on Sunday,
I'm going to go. Yeah, sorry. I've said Warriors. I'll stick with that.
Yep. Now on Sunday at 4:05, we do see the Newcastle Knights taking on the Canberra Raiders. Now this is at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Trey Mooney in.
The Trey's back.
The Trey's back. Josh Papali'i and Timoko in the Raiders.
Timiko just extended bench, or
I think he is, but I've well actually no, 19. I've put him in because I don't know I rarely know what happens with Canberra, but
he hasn't played this year in
No.
the top grade yet.
no, which
I think they may have even said to him, you're free to look around.
they did.
That's a vote of no confidence. They tell you that.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
For the Knights, the guy who played a cracking game last week, Dom Young, their winger, got a lot of value. Dane Gagai and Bradman Best. Bradman Best is actually playing some good footy as well. It's Fletcher Sharp and Sandon Smith with Fletcher Hunt that's actually playing some really good football. You know, we can talk about Kalen Ponga and all that. These guys are actually holding their own right now, and it's on
They
the
look
back.
slick.
They do, and it's on the back of some really good forward movements, especially when you look at Dylan Lucas, Matt Croker, and into their bench, Tyson Frizzell, just Sasai Feedy of the Jacob kind, Phoenix Crossland doing well out of dummy half. They're building some really good structures, and Justin Holbrook, he's the key behind this. I think he's a very good coach. I think if he, he's like that Formula One adage, like he's an exceptional driver if only he had the car. At the moment, he's a very good coach if only he had the team, and he's building something here, which at this stage, early stage, I can say is starting to overachieve. They could finish last and make me a liar, but they're looking slicker than what they ever have, which is a good thing. The Raiders, the Raiders for me, they've been a little pedestrian. Ethan Sanders and Ethan Strange, the two Ethans there, the two Ethan S's, they really got to start to light the attack up and get early ball out to people like Sebastian, Chris. This thing of passing to KO Weeks when all else fails, that guy just gets hammered 9 out of 10 times. Josh Papali'i's going to help this week. He's going to be quick. They've got to quick play the balls. Josh Papali'i and Joseph Tarpany just need to just play the ball quicker. That'll bring Horsburgh, Martin and Young into the game. They've got to give Tom Starling something to work with. They're getting rolled over, slow play the balls, and they're just not finding the bullets to fire. Their bench is good enough to win this. Morgan Smithies, we're talking about this guy being, this guy was a starting player. But I've got the Raiders winning this one over the Knights. I think Ricky's going to be set these team up. I want to see what the Raiders do this week, because if the Raiders bring it and they become creative, early ball from Strange out, big backline moves, integrating Corey Horsburgh in there with Hudson Young, out to KO Weeks, getting space out wide, I'll be excited. If they don't, the Newcastle Knights will run all over them. I've got the Raiders because I have faith in them, but not a lot. Griff?
Yeah, I'm going to tip the Raiders as well. I just think on paper they look a better side.
Yeah, 100% they do.
And games aren't won on paper, but it helps if you've got match-winning players, and they've got quite a number of them there. Their attack hasn't been too bad. Their defence has been a bit of an issue. Last week, really affected by the sin binning of Horsburgh. They let in 2 tries, and they were behind the 8 ball from that point in time. He's got to just make sure he doesn't lose his cool, let's say. I was going to say another word, but I opted for cool. He's a fiery character, but you really can't be that way and cost your team I think it was maybe 10 or 12 points while he was off the field. There's so much quality here. It's almost a must-win. They're 1-3. I mean, you really don't want to. You go 1-4, you start almost write your season off as a top 4 side. I'm not writing them off by any stretch, but I think if they lose again this week, I think the top 4 is probably something they're not going to achieve. They may still make the 8, but I think they'll turn it around this week. As I said, the attack's been pretty good. They've got a lift in defence. I want to echo your comments in relation to Coach Justin Holbrook. The Newcastle Knights over the last, I guess, nearly 2 decades have made some really poor decisions. But this wasn't one of them in bringing Holbrook in. He's turned this team around, and they won last week even without their 2 $1 million+ players. A big chunk of their salary cap sat on the bench, and they're still not there, but they do get Mooney back. It's going to be a big crowd, you would imagine. They really love their rugby league team up in the Hunter, and they've got a team worth absolutely following now. Under Holbrook, the way they play the game is very, very different to when they were under O'Brien, who didn't seem to really direct them with attack. That's all different now. And even without their 2 superstars, they've got plenty of talent there, and they use the football well. So they're going to really put it to the Raiders, but I just think Raiders have got a little bit more class, and I'm going to stick with them.
It's 4:05 on Monday, Easter Monday. We've got a Monday game, which is always good. At CommBank Stadium, we have the Parramatta Eels taking on the West Tigers. Yongi and Dury out for the Eels. It's all systems go for the West Tigers. This is going to be a cracking match, and I really think that this has the hallmarks of something big. Albeit you've got Adam Dwayne and Jock Madden, they're going to be the halves and 5/8 for the Tigers. Appy Coruscant loves this kind of work. Alex Twal coming into his own. For the Eels really are struggling at the moment. The Jonah Pezzett, Mitchell Moses combination, that's still a work in progress. It seems to be let's fling it out to Josh Adokar and see if he can score a try. Papali'i at the back this week. Again, it's his to make. If he does well, he might keep this spot. If he doesn't, who knows? I look at their bench, and I think there's a lot to be made about the West Tigers bench. I think the West Tigers bench isn't too bad. Jack DeBellin comes in at the interchange at 18. I look. The Eels have a big forward pack, and people like Fainu and Pierce Paul are going to have to tackle well. They got Coruscant and Twal tightening up the middle. If Madden and Dwayne can work on the fringes, Makasini and Taruva, can do what they need to do. I've got West Tigers winning this one. I'm going for... it'll be an upset, I know. I'm going for a little bit of an upset. I've got the West Tigers winning this, Griff.
Well, they certainly carry the form to do so. Mostly when these teams clash on at CommBank, and it's often sort of a traditional clash now, the Easter Monday. There's always plenty of tries. It's usually a sunny day. And I've got a lot of memories of Mitch Moses in games against the Tigers at CommBank. I think we go back to the very first game there. And Moses scored the first try at Combank. I've got a feeling it was against the Tigers, but I might be wrong there. But he generally owns these games, and I think he's going to own this one. Para, they impressed me last week with their attack, and I watched the game again on the TV, and they moved the ball really well. Last week they made quite a number of mistakes, just turning the ball over to Penrith, letting them off the hook. They've got to stop that. They've got to reduce their error count, but keep attacking. Yongi is a big loss, but Joash Papali, he's an exciting talent. I made a few mistakes last week, but he also threatened the line regularly whenever he had the ball. His opposite, Buller, is obviously a high-quality player. I just see tries galore in this game. So if you like attacking rugby league, where defence is almost optional, I think you've got your game here, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm going to stick with the home team, which is the Parramatta Eels. It might be 46-38 or something like that. might not get quite that high, but I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if both teams pass 30 points and one of them's going to win, one's going to lose. Yeah. I'll stick with the Eels, the home team here.
Cool. Well, Griffo, that's all the teams done and dusted for this week. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, just thanks listeners for being with us. I hope you have a wonderful Easter with your families. I hope there's a lot of footy to enjoy. For those of you who will begin school holidays tomorrow at whether it's around about 3:00 somewhere, have a very enjoyable holiday break, and we will be back with you next week. That's the plan. I'm going to be away, but we'll try and organise something during the holidays as well. I'll be coming if we do have a podcast. I'll be coming out of Asia, which I don't think we've ever. Yeah, I don't think we've ever done one out of Asia, but next week we should be a regular Carpool Rugby-League. We'll have a lot of games obviously to cover over Easter. Have a lovely Easter. Thank you to Shano for again doing all the technical stuff that puts this program together.
Too easy, and I'd like to echo those sentiments, and also hope you all have a cracking break. And look, leading into when we usually talk about Easter, Griff, we're into April now. May we're starting to talk what Origin might look like. So Origin round the corner too, people. Don't. Things never get boring in NRL land. So thank you for listening to us, guys. Thank you.
Clock's back Saturday night. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. So clock's back Saturday night. If you're heading out to a game on Sunday,
just remember.
Get there an hour earlier to what you. You don't want to adjust that clock, you might miss the start. Is that right?
No, that's the opposite. That's the summer.
It's clock's forward, is it?
You'll get there an hour early.
Okay, don't listen to me. Just listen to someone who knows. But
so
you're going to change the clock unless you've got an Apple phone.
And check.
It does it all for you.
And what is it? If you change the clocks, you got to check your smoke alarms.
Very good.
That's what they say.
Very good. We are concerned about public safety here on Carpool Rugby-League.
All right, everyone. You take care. Thank you, Griffo, once again. Love you guys. Take care. Bye now.